I've already talked to you about the snapshots of economic performance. And if budget is really based, if the methodology of the budget has been crafted according to what is known as the OBB, or the outcome-based budgeting, then you must paint a scenario of what you want to be, or where do you want to go, or what are your objectives, so that you craft a budget. Budget is essentially knowing roughly how much you can accrue, and then spending what is reasonable to achieve some macroeconomic numbers that is in simple terms, of growth, which should not compromise employment, and at the same time maintain certain amount of inflation rate that are reasonable. So you have essentially two balancing policies there. One is the fiscal aspect, which is taxation and subsidies, and one is the monetary aspect, which is essentially all to do with the OPR, overnight policy rate, which will affect BLR, average lending rate, and whatever other stuff. Okay, so a government in determining its budget would have to be committed to achieving a certain, target growth, and as well determining its deficit numbers. So in terms of Pakatan, we have come to conclude that we will be very happy if we could achieve a target growth, unique growth, by the way. You must understand that growth are just not simply numbers. It explains a lot about 1% growth may amount to about 10 billion of GDP. Depending on what your GDP number, in 2013, I think we will be into the trillion.
1 trillion.
1 trillion. Into 1 trillion. So that is what numbers you're talking about. So in terms of growth, we would be happy enough if we could achieve 5.2% growth. That is our budget growth target. And in terms of reducing our budget deficit, we are into reducing it to 3.2%.
3.5.
Sorry, 3.2 is the other thing. 3.5%. And then, that's right, 3.5%, yeah? What else should I say? 3.5 for the budget deficit, gross 5.2, yeah. And with that as the so to say the frame of what we want to achieve as the outcome, we place three strategic objectives, namely, one, increasing disposable income, yeah, by alleviating economic hardship. I think Dr. Kian Ming has gone through some of it. Secondly, building entrepreneurial class, promoting constructive and rigorous competition. And finally, creating a just society with dignity and pride. Ya, mewujudkan sebuah masyarakat yang hidup punya marwah dan punya jati diri. As opposed to right now, recognizing the problem of disparity in income and wealth. Nobody talks about wealth disparity. You go into to understand wealth disparity, intra-ethnic. It's deplorable to see at the mean. But we are not only talking about income. You understand what I mean by wealth, yeah? Both, financial assets and others. So, so if I could quickly run through, we believe in increasing disposable income because they are talking about GNI per capita. but we want to move away from just talking about income. We want to be talking about money in the pocket. Disposable income is money you can spend. Not just, as you increase income, so be it if the cost of living is going to be higher and higher. So, what difference does it make to the low income group? Yeah. So, our first target, first thrust is increasing the disposable income, and of course, Dr. Kiaming has just talked about housing, which has been emphasized. Secondly is our commitment to reduce excise duty on cars. Not outrightly though, but at a gradual restraint phase, and by first reducing it to 20% in 2013 to start phasing out exorbitant taxes on cars. So immediately this is expected to increase disposable income of 3 out of 4 families in Malaysia and strengthen domestic demand by diverting 2 billion into the economy. Yes, the government would, thank you, the government would be missing that 2 billion, but where does it go? It will not go into the pocket of cronies. That is for sure. It will go into the pocket of the people, and with that, they will be driving the economy through consumption, which they really need. That will really put, private consumption, that C, the C factor, C plus I plus G, X minus M for the GDP. So that consumption factor, C factor, is going to be driven by disposable income. So why we are targeting disposable income? We believe that, when people have money in their pocket, they know, and of course, that also reduces household debt that I have not talked about. Household debt has gone past 653.
About 78%.
Yeah, it's already 78%, but in terms of actual numbers, you can probably recall.
About 600 GBP.
The last time I remember reading was 653 billion. So immediately you reduce, 20% of excise duties, you are actually taking a significant portion of their debt and giving back money to their pocket. So this is how we have the actual mechanics of how to execute this. We just do talk, it's not just mere rhetoric, but we have, we believe in the program that we set forward to do. Okay, what is most interesting, perhaps I don't have much time, I understand that I would like to just say this. Increase the welfare payment from the current, I know it's coming, 2 minutes more, oh my God. I'm having a real baby flu actually, but I promised Dr. Kumar that I'm going to come. So with that, perhaps I may be given the extra injury time. Now I'm starting to cough. Okay. I must say this, nonetheless. It's okay. Thanks. Increase the welfare payment from the current 300 to 550 per month that immediately frees 84,000 families currently earning below 500 per month from abject poverty, meaning there will be no hardcore poor in this country. That is really imitating what is happening in Penang. Actual cash payment that immediately releases all those in the hardcore poverty. Those below PGK, paras, garis, kemiskinan. And I think that is really, I'm not quite sure why the PN has a blind spot for not doing it earlier than this. Perhaps they still have time to change for Friday pukul 4 punya pembentangan oleh Perdana Menteri yang juga Menteri Kewangan. By the way, we will not have Perdana Menteri and Menteri Kewangan in the same person if we take over. I think I'm not able to attempt to deliver anymore because I'm left with only the last minute. But let me just remind you, by building entrepreneurial trust, promoting constructive, free and fair competition, we will do away with that one MDB, whoever they are, You know, whether they are cronies to the PM or the wife of the PM, we don't care less. You know, so that do away with all this. You will give it back the role to Khazanah, and Khazanah has never been paying anything to the coffers of the Rakyat. They have got to be paying for a start 2 billion every year to federal coffers. Remember? Are you not aware that Khazanah, I was also oblivious of it, never paid anything to the Malaysian federal coffers. Strange. And it was announced earlier. I said, oh my God, I myself. Because I thought I saw GLCs paying, but only few GLCs. Many evaded. But actually, even the parent Khazanah never get to be paying anything to the Malaysian federal coffers. So with the Pakatan Rakyat government, we will make them first pay 2 billion for a start. And the campaign was talking about antitrust act here to enhance further competition, and I think that will really come in line. But what is most interesting for me to just conclude, Lady Chair, is just if we could, there's something here, implementation, because our budget is going to be gender sensitive. I'm not quite sure whether it is going to be very appealing to you, ladies, but implementation of Cawangan Wanita Nasional that matches the husband's saving for a homemaker with a flat rate 600 ringgit annual contribution by the government. This scheme is the first national level social safety net for women that will empower them economically and socially. Then the last populist, perhaps. It may be popular, but it is not necessarily populist. You differentiate between a popular program and a populist program. Well, I define a popular program that ones that win the hearts and minds of people. But a populist program will eventually destroy it. In terms of debt, in terms of whatever, it is non-sustainable, it's untenable. Okay, but a populist program with one like this, let me just tell you, lest you've forgotten, that we rank, Malaysia ranks by World Bank. World Bank recognizes us as one of the richest resource per capita country in the world. Okay, once upon a time we were in the same league as South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore. We were having GNI per capita a lot better than that. Where are they now? Where are we? So it's high time that a regime change is in order for us to leap back, or not leap back, leap further, be leapfrog, to be at par, if not better than them. I think with that, I thank you, Lady Chair, for your